Right. So, I'm gonna make a side-scrolling platformer puzzler tutorial for absolute beginners. We'll start off by making the project from scratch. So we'll call it platformer puzzler. Find where you store your projects. Okay. Now, depending on how big you want the project to be, screen-wise, a good size for this project, I'd say 720 by 380, but I'm not really too sure about this because I'm actually a beginner myself. Well, learning myself. This is how I've decided to learn and get stuff through to my head. So you want your screen size sorted. You want to go down to textures, set this to nearest. We're going to be doing pixel art. We want to do our input mapping, which will be move left, move right, jump, interact. So I'm going to put these as the A key, D key, jump, and E. If we need more, we'll add more. I also like to go down to my 2D physics, make this world all static, player, enemies, interactables, like that. Now, the first thing to put in is a world environment with another node underneath it with a scene manager. And then another node underneath that which will be the test level. Okay. Make some folders now. Game. The world environment can just go straight into game. Let's make one global script called signal bus. Go up to project settings, globals, find your signal bus, add that in, make sure it's enabled. Right. So this should be our screen size, which can be our level size. First thing we're going to want for in the test level is a floor. I like to do it with a sprite as the main body, static body, and then a collision shape underneath that. Then ingredient, it doesn't really matter. Make it black. Like that. static body. You hold Alt and move one of these, it does it in uniform. Right. And then if you click this group selected nodes, it will mean you can accidentally click just the static body. So make sure you're on the parent node of all. Right. So now let's make our character of a node. Character body. Sprite. And put gradient. Make this white. And then 16 by 32. And a collision shape. And if you put the collision shape as a capsule, it helps with the jumping and moving up stuff because of the curve here. Put this in the game folder and make a new folder called actors. Rename it to player. And let's make the player controller. In actors, we'll make a new folder called scripts. Rename that player controller. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying they don't like making class names because they don't like making everything a global script. And I know not everybody thinks this, but making it a class name is not making it a global script. It's making its own object within your game. It's completely different. You can't directly access this node through the class name. And that's what a global script is. You're directly accessing it through the project. So if you make this a class name, call it player controller, and then give it some variables. Speed, if you do semicolon equals, and then put like 125, this means that we're setting this variable and it can only be a float because this is a float with a decimal number. If I change this, like if we put, we'll be able to see it in the editor, if we put x4 in front of that, it'll pop up here, seeing that's a float. But if we change this to that, it's now an integer. And if we change it to false, it's now a boolean. It's basically doing the exact same thing as if you do this. Float. So you don't actually need that. Just do that. Export speed, export jump height, which is also a float of about 250. But we'll separate them. So the speed, we want dampening on it as well. Should we put var in front of it? which is also a flow, and it's going to be quite a high number. And then down here, we want 2 constants, because we're going to put coyote time and jump buffer in. So, jump buffer time, which will be integer of 15, and that's 15 frames. Jump const coyote time, which is 15 also, and then 2 variables, which are not export, so we don't need to adjust these ones in the header, which will be coyote counter, which will be equal to an integer of 0, and jump buffer counter, which is also 0. Right? Then we'll make the move. Make the gravity function first. Apply gravity. And that will need delta inside it, which I'll explain soon. This, explain how you get this. You go to editor settings, type in type hint, then under completion, make sure you have add type hints. That just makes it more readable. Like that delta, it's a float. It puts this void because this function is not returning anything. So if this was returning a boolean, bool, and then you need to return a boolean at the end of this function. Okay, so on here, character class has a built-in function called isOnFloor. Is on floor, but you want to put an exclamation mark in front of it, which means not. So if it's not on the floor, velocity dot y plus equals get gravity dot y times delta. Right? Now that won't do anything because we're not actually calling it from anywhere, which we're gonna do soon. And then func coyote handle. We don't need to pass anything into it, but we just want to do if is on floor, and then coyote counter will equal to coyote time. And else coyote if coyote counter is greater than 0, coyote counter minus equals 1. So that's saying if you are on the floor, the counter is equal to the time, and as soon as you leave the floor, the coyote counter will start jumping down, will start counting down. And then we'll do the same, a similar thing for the jump buffer. Jump buffer handle, it's a little bit different. So if input dot is action just pressed jump, then jump buffer counter will equal to jump buffer time. And then not an if, but just not an else, just if again, jump buffer counter is greater than 0. Jump buffer counter minus equals 1. So that's what that's saying. So what we're doing with these two functions is this one's checking if you're on the floor, and it's setting the coyote counter to the coyote time. this one's checking if you've actually pressed the jump key, and then it's counting down. So them two together will be like checking if he can jump from together. So if we do jump handle, it makes more sense in a second. Jump handle, then void, and we call those two functions coyote handle and jump buffer handle. And then if jump buffer counter is greater than 0 and coyote counter is greater than 0, then velocity dot y equals then minus jump height. Then you gotta move, make jump buffer counter equals 0 and coyote counter equals 0. So basically what that's saying is if you've pressed the button jump and you're within the 15 frames, so if you press the button jump and you're on the floor, or you're in the 15 frame limit of these two, you will jump. So if you press it a little bit before you hit the floor, you'll still jump when you hit the floor. If you press it a little bit after leaving a ledge, you will still jump. Okay, so let's make the move function now. Move, and this one will take delta in. So float. And it won't return anything. So I see a lot of people on the Facebook page and stuff doing like, they'll get their direction and then they'll do if direction is this plus equal velocity plus equals direction plus speed and else statements. It's like 5-6 lines. When you can actually do it in about 4 lines. So you can do var direction equal to input dot get axis, move left, move right. If you ever do anything like this, you've got to make sure that this one is your minus direction and this one is your positive direction. Then if direction, not if dampening, if direction, velocity dot x equals move toward, and you need to get the current velocity, which is your current velocity dot x, then direction times your speed, and then next argument is the dampening times delta. Oh, I put move to front. Huh. I want to move toward. Okay. And that'll get us moving, but it won't stop us. So if we just do the exact same thing, x equals move toward velocity dot x again. The next argument is 0, and then dampening again. Dampening times delta. Okay, that's all the move does. We've got a few functions, but they're all quite explanatory. And at the top we do func physics process, and we do apply gravity delta. jump handle is next. And move for delta. And after this, move and slide. Move and slide will actually get you moving. Right, so now go back to your world. And under your test level, put your player in. Right, it might be a little bit small, so click the play button, select current scene. It should be okay. So if you press it and then press it again, you got that window jumping. Same with that. Actually drop off the ledge. And that's the player controller finished. I think in the next bit we'll make the player pick stuff up using the signal bus and a thing I like to call a config. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.